All right. So we're live. Easton, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So hello, the Florida Wrestling Room. I know Ricky should be on whenever he is able to get a break. I know he's at his lunch break. So as soon as he clicks in, we'll have him on here as well. But anyway, I'm here with Easton Tobia, 195 1A, right?
Yeah.
Florida high school state champion, state wrestling champion. And I'm glad you came on. How you doing
Thank you
today?
for having me.
You're a little distorted on the voice thing.
Yeah, let me move.
Maybe the audio button.
Is that good? Is that better?
No, you're kind of echoing in and out. Maybe is there? I think there's an audio button on there, or are you?
Here,
on
I can grab some headphones if you want me to. That should stop it.
All right, man. Yeah, go ahead and do that. That's no problem. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
So anyway, wrestling room. He's just getting some headphones, and we're gonna
Is that better?
talk again.
Hello?
It's still grimy. There's an audio button on there. Can you adjust that audio button, maybe?
Here, let me see. The only options I have are just here. Is that better?
Much better.
All right.
Now we're good. Sorry, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's okay. All right, I think we got Ricky coming on now too. All right, well, better now. So obviously unbelievable, the emotions. I think Ricky's on, but he doesn't have his video.
Yeah, I do.
No, it says your video's off.
All right, hold on. Let me see.
There you
There we
go.
go. There
Now
we
you're
go.
coming
All
in.
right, cool.
Hey, there we go.
All right,
All
here we
right,
go.
so now we got everybody. Hey, Ricky, what's up? Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
I was introducing Easton, obviously our 195 state wrestling champion.
Yes, sir.
Lake Highland Prep and CFWA, and then we had some technical difficulties, so we got that fixed, and now we're off and running.
Awesome. Awesome.
So thanks for coming on with us.
Oh, I appreciate it. Awesome. What's going on, Easton?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, let me say congratulations, man. State champion. It had to be an incredible feeling, right?
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if it's okay, Dan, can I start asking a few questions?
Yeah, man, go ahead, man. I'm glad you came on. I mean, you're obviously well versed with from when he started to where he ended up. So I'd love
Absolutely.
to that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, I watched you when you were at Brandon, and I'm sure things have to be so much different over at Lake Highland Prep than at Brandon, and we'll talk about that. But weren't you like a 126 pounder at Brandon?
Yeah, my sophomore year, I wrestled 138, and then freshman year, I wrestled 120, I think.
Wow.
And then last year, I actually wrestled a couple matches down to 38 as well.
So yeah, I mean, you've made a huge jump. I mean, I know you weren't a 195 pounder. You were probably like 170, 175 tops. I don't even know what your weight was. So you were giving away a lot of weight, but still, I mean, from 126, 138, even to 170, that's a big jump. So, when you go from the middleweights to the big boys, it's got to be tough. But listen, when I watched you at Brandon, listen, we'll keep it real. You were average. You were an average wrestler. You were good. You were good, but you were not typically what, people didn't know the name Easton Tobia at that point. I mean, realistically, they didn't. You weren't a bad wrestler. You were an average wrestler and a good average wrestler. But then I started to see, once you went to Lake Highland Prep, and I'll be the first one to admit it, the jump that you made from the technique to the intensity, it's just incredible. And I say this because it's a compliment to you. I have to give you a compliment what you did was absolutely incredible. The leaps and bounds that you made. I've never seen a kid, and I've been around wrestling for a really long time, Easton. I've never seen a kid come so far in such a short amount of time than you did. So my question is, well, first of all, congratulations. But second of
Thank
all,
you.
what do you credit that to? How did you get so good so quick?
I just think it's my coaches at Lake Highland. I put in a lot of time with Coach Palazzo and Coach Scott. Coach Scott and I were doing privates a lot before the season started, and all of our practices are just so good and so intense. I feel like it helped me jump really fast.
Definitely did, for sure. Now, another thing, when you were at Brandon, I mean, you were seeing good competition, but you weren't seeing anything like what you're seeing at Lake Highland Prep. I mean, Lake Highland goes to the Ironman, they go to, all these big tournaments. How do you think that helped you in attaining your goal of being a state champion?
I think that the competition was a really big reason, because I used to get kind of nervous before like some of my matches.
Yeah,
But after wrestling like top 10 kids all year,
exactly.
I could confidently say that I've wrestled the best of the best. So most of my Florida matches aren't going to be at that level.
That's exactly right, man. That I knew I was going to hear that answer. That's what I want. That's what I wanted to hear. That's so true, Dan. These kids from Lake Highland Prep, American Heritage, Del Rey, they go to the Ironman. Lake Gibson, Brandon used to go everywhere. They used to go to the Beast, to the Powerade. When these teams go to those types of tournaments and they're seeing these top 10 kids, when they come back to Florida, they have like nothing to fear. Jesuit's another team that goes to these.
And I can just say from my son, I didn't really, I wrestled a little bit when I was a kid in high school, but nothing to nothing to this level, right? So my son found a love for it, and 7th and 8th grade, he got crushed 0-30, right? And then I heard about CFWA last spring, and I took him in there. And when I brought him back to the first academy, the head of the athletic department and the assistant head of school was like, who is this kid? I can't even believe he made this jump and that was just from being in that same room with them. And he only got to experience, I think it was Disney and Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan Grappler's a tough one. And then
that room, and every kid in that room was solid. Some of the top. So yeah, so I witnessed it myself just with my son, watching what he's done and his confidence grow just being in that room. Those guys are amazing. And I know Travis was in there last spring and he's taken over a program, and now you guys got Donnie and he's unbelievable. And every time I'm in the room, I see him involved with everybody, and Scott. And I don't know where you got some more questions, Ricky. I was gonna just touch on when you're done going through stuff. I just want to hear him like go through the emotions and the up and downs of
let's do
having
it.
two of the best matches in.
I want to hear it. I'll save my questions for at the end.
Yeah. So tell us. So everybody's going into states, and we're all expecting the match of the tournament to be Chris and Frankie, right? So that's what we're waiting for. Everybody's sitting around just waiting for that, right? And of course, it was huge, 2-1. Your guy Chris wins. The mat is circled, but then your quarterfinal match and your final match ended up being the most talked about matches of the tournament, and the emotions that you went through those matches, man. Just talk about the first match where he was trying to bully you and you kept hurrying him up, and you came back and won that one. And then talk about obviously your finals match, the up and down there, and then just the emotion you went through from them saying, hey, you're the champ, and then saying, oh, just kidding, we're going to have to rerun this, and then back to where. So I just want to hear, man, as a kid, I can't imagine what you went through.
So like with my quarterfinals match, it was a tough match. Definitely. He was really big. He's one of the biggest kids I've wrestled this year. And that's saying something, because I wrestled Peyton Kraft, who's number 5 or number 6 in the country. He was big. But Danny Miranda, he's big and he's strong. And
he is.
He tried to bully me. He tried to use his weight. And I've watched some of his matches. I knew I could go out there and I could gas him. And that's really been my whole game plan this whole season, is just go out there and gas him in those first few periods and get that takedown in the third. And after I knew I could take him down the whole match, but I got that low single and got the takedown, and I knew it was over then.
Was that the game plan, knowing that he's a big, strong, physical kid? Was that the game plan that you and your coaches talked about? Let's just stay within a couple of points. Don't worry if you get taken down. Just keep it within 2, and we'll gas him. We'll push the pace, and we'll score in the end and win the match. Was that kind of the whole mindset going in? Did you have that game plan, or it was kind of something that you figured out as the match was going?
That's been our game plan all season long. If you look back at my first match at Ironman this year, I got taken down in the first. It was like, good kid. He was first or second in Ohio last year. Got taken down in the first, got my escape, and then I got that takedown in the third to seal the deal. That was just the whole plan, is go out there and see whose gas tank is better and just really get into it.
Yeah, well, there's no secret that you've got a gas tank that doesn't end, man. I mean, that's all you hear about. I talked to Palazzo about you a little bit, and he's like, man, that kid works his ass off. Just a great kid, and his gas tank is never ending. So that's a good quality to have, especially when you're giving up a lot of weight, man, and strength probably.
That's
How
awesome.
did you feel a lot of the kids were stronger than you, or not really?
I'm actually like pretty strong. Most of the kids had more leverage against me, and they were able to use their weight, but I never felt completely like out muscled all year.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys see the bracket before the state tournament starts. Did you think you were going to have Tal Shahar in the finals, or you kind of didn't know?
I thought I was either going to have Tal Shahar in the finals or Miranda, but the way the bracket fell, I knew I was going to have Tal Shahar in the finals.
Right. Because Miranda wound up being on your side, so you knew it was definitely, you were going to take him out, and you were going to have Mikey. Now, what was a question? I was going to ask a question. Oh, haven't had any contact with Tal Shahar after the match, did you? Did you guys get to talk at all, or you kind of just stayed away from each other?
We were on the podium. That was it. I didn't see him after we were on the podium.
Okay. I don't think there was any beef between the two wrestlers, really. Was there?
No,
I didn't think
not at
so.
all.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, two classy kids, and I didn't really see any problems with that. The whole controversy was basically the coaches and the referees. But you know what? The bottom line is this: you're a freaking state champion, man, and that's all that matters. And you know what? Nobody can ever take that away from you. You know, you have that for the rest of your life, something that you worked hard for. And you know what? You deserve it, man. You only get what you deserve, and you got what you deserve. So my hat's off to you, man. I think
that's awesome. So now you're into the finals. I know he talked about asking you afterwards, but now you're into the finals. The whole thing happens, you win it, and then talk about all that craziness that happened afterwards.
So after we get off the podium, I was like sitting there talking to parents or something, and Coach Scott walks up to me and he says, "There's something happened, and they want to re-wrestle your match." And I mean, I didn't know like what was happening, to be honest, but I was ready. I got my shoes on, got my singlet on, and I was waiting. I was standing right there on the mat. But
wrestlers wrestle, right?
Happening.
Yeah. Wrestlers wrestle,
crazy.
right? So
yeah, I was ready. I wanted to do it again. It was fun.
So the emotion from winning it, going back, losing it, that part didn't affect you. You were just like, let's get it on.
Yeah, I was ready. I mean, we go through so much during the year. I thought, I mean, that was just something else, you know?
That's just a whole different mindset right there, man.
And that's awesome.
Kid goes 6 minutes in a scrap back and forth, and then he's ready to go again another 6. That's awesome.
And that just says how well Palazzo and Scott and Donnie over there keep you guys
for sure
so grounded and focused and ready for anything. And it's great to see your coaches kind of protect you like they did and go up to the refs. And I really, truthfully, and I think we talked a little bit about it here, I can't imagine it. The emotion that was running in that arena regarding you and Frankie.
No,
I can't imagine Mikey, I'm sorry, Mikey, the other one. I can't imagine it was a good thing to put you guys back on the mat again. This thing would have been
Yeah.
a street brawl.
Yeah, that never would have happened. That's crazy. And what's crazier is, here's the crazy thing. Not only was there a whole bunch of controversy, but Lake Highland Prep and Heritage, they were sitting right next to each other in the stands. The two teams, the families were right next to each other. And there was one point towards the end of the match, or the middle of the third period, where Heritage starts screaming, Mikey, Mikey. And then Lake Highland Prep starts screaming, Easton, Easton. And I saw you, when they started screaming your name, you kind of like came alive, man. You're like, it kind of got to you. Like, what did that feel like, hearing this whole team screaming your name? Like, what did that do for you? Did it give you like an extra spark? What did it do? What did you feel at that moment?
It was literally one of the coolest things in my life, just to be sitting there and have like an arena chanting against me, and then my own team like right there yelling just as loud. It was just really cool, and I knew I could win it right then. So, I mean,
Exactly.
It was insane, that section, Rick. You were there, I'd imagine, for the
I was in that section.
for the Chris and Frankie match.
Yeah, I was
Matt
standing
right
at the
underneath
top.
them.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
standing at the
exactly.
top, in between Lake Highland and Heritage. I was standing at the top of the stairs, and I was watching the thing, and I was like, oh my God. And then I was in the same place. I was standing in the same spot for Easton and Mikey's match. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in state tournament history, actually. And I've been going to the state tournament for a long time now.
The
But
best was Miss Palazzo. Man, she is like the wrestling mom, right? I mean, she just
oh
loves
yeah,
you kids so
she's
much.
great.
I mean, I see her every time one of you guys wins. She's in tears, like
yeah,
she's your parent. I mean, just to see how involved she is and how much love and passion she has for you guys.
Yeah,
Man, how can you not be successful under those conditions, man? That's awesome. And like I said, how they welcome all wrestlers and not just their wrestlers really says a lot for the program.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you were at Brandon now you went to Brandon, what, 9th, 10th and 11th, or 9th and 10th?
just 9th and 10th.
9th and 10th, and then Lake Highland 11th and 12th, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So you had 2 years at Brandon, 2 years at Lake Highland Prep. I would imagine that, the decision to go to Lake Highland Prep was based on a couple of different factors, education probably being the first, and then obviously the coaching and the wrestling. And it was a great decision for you. What was the difference? What was the major differences between Brandon and Lake Highland Prep?
A lot of the technique taught at Brandon, you focus a lot on the basics, and that's great. And then at Lake Highland, it's a high intensity room where you're working really, really hard all the time. And I think that's kind of what pushed me over the edge and got me over the hump, was just the intensity and the coaching staff there.
So
I see a lot of repetitive stuff too, Ricky. And I'll let you go. I know, just from me standing in there, I see them drilling a lot of the same moves over and over and over.
Oh yeah.
Get them. I mean, I could tell you right now what a Lake Highland Prep kid is going to do as soon as he gets on. He's going for the underhook. He's going for the neck. He's coming down and trying to pull. If he can't get around, I mean, they're drilled and trained like soldiers. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, they're drilled and trained like college Division I wrestlers. That's what Palazzo does. I mean, these kids are trained. They're very well coached. They train like a Division I college team. And look, it's quite apparent. Look what they do. I mean, so all right. So the wrestling's a little bit different. Now, as far as I'm sure you made a lot of friends over at Brandon, but also at Lake Highland Prep. Do you still talk with some of your friends at Brandon, or do you kind of lost contact with them? And
I talk with a couple of them, 4 or 5 of them.
Cool. That's good. You always want to stay friends with your original squad. How far is Brandon from Lake Highland Prep?
About 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a good ways away, man. All right, so what's next for you? I mean, you're gonna wrestle freestyle and Greco this year, or do you guys do
If
that?
things open up, I'll wrestle them, but I just don't know with all the Corona stuff going on.
I know it. That's crazy. I forgot about that. Not that I forgot about it, but it's crazy. You hate to even think that. Now I know Brandon is huge with freestyle and Greco, and their guys are always going to Fargo. Is that something, if it's available, if it's an opportunity for you, is that something that you want to do? Do you want to pursue maybe a Fargo tournament before you head off to college or whatever you're going to do?
Yeah, I think that'd be great just to get a couple more high school matches in,
Yeah.
I mean, Fargo's a great tournament, good competition and everything.
What about Disney duels? I know Palazzo always has a team at the Disney duels that always does pretty good. You're going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as I'm not like doing something in college, like I don't know what time I have to be in college, but
Awesome.
as long as I'm here, I want to wrestle. I want to get as
Nice.
many matches as I can.
Nice. Excellent.
So
What else, Dan?
Well, the one question I always ask a lot of the wrestlers we just started doing this, but the wrestlers we've talked to, I always ask, what was that one match that you had that really made you feel like, okay, I can do this. I belong. I'm ready. I can.
That's a great question. Great question.
Honestly, there's a couple different matches. Like, I had some good matches at Beast. I pulled Peyton Kraft first round. I mean, I got beat pretty like handily, but I knew I could hang in there with these guys. I just needed the weight. And I felt like wrestling all those guys, all the top 10 guys, and hanging in there made me realize I can come back to Florida and be a state champion.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So you recommend to the other programs in the state or other clubs in the state that, try and get, whether you only have one kid in the program or 30, try and get your kids to some of these out of state tournaments and really that can really help them with their confidence and everything.
I think you just have to find the toughest matches you possibly can. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, but just wrestling those guys gets you so much experience.
Absolutely. That's the truth, man. There ain't no doubt about that. I mean, the Michigan Grappler. Did you guys go to the Michigan Grappler?
We did.
Yeah. The Michigan Grappler is probably one of the toughest preseason high school tournaments, other than the Super 32, obviously. Dan, this tournament is tough, man. You got kids from everywhere, Midwest, Florida, Georgia.
Yeah, I went with them this year. So Daniel traveled with them this year.
Okay. So
I stayed at a different hotel because I was told that Palazzo likes to keep the kids together just to have them get that experience and have that life. And it was pretty funny. Daniel told me, Dad, they woke us up at midnight to go do push-ups. And I was like, wow, cool. Yeah, but I did go, and it was a good experience being there and watching those guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, it's Lake Highland Prep definitely has the right idea with the big tournaments and stuff like that. Any other questions, Dan?
No, man, I was just happy to get you on and hear about that, because ever since the tournament, I mean, that's been the Talsha Hears versus Lake Highland Prep has been the talk of everything. I posted a video up of the semifinals with Chris, and people were commenting on it, and everybody's a critic, but I always go back to wrestlers wrestle, refs ref, coaches coach. I mean, it's not a wrestler's job to figure out what the calls are. It's their job to wrestle till it's over. And I think you did that better than anyone I saw at States wrestle. I mean, the heart you showed. The one thing I did want to ask is your relationship with Hunter, Coach Scott's son, is like a brotherhood. And I know that I think all of us were just in the dumps when he lost that third place match. And I know you talked a little bit about it, being in tears coming up to your semifinal match after that. But then when you won that final, the first guy that ran out to the middle of the floor to greet you and give you a big hug was Hunter. And what has that relationship meant to you?
It's meant a lot. When I first came to Lake Highland, he was the first person I ever drilled with, first person I ever wrestled live with. We're really we're two peas in a pod. We're best friends. Like, we hang out all the time. We always room together at tournaments. And then obviously him losing in the semis, it was a heartbreaking match. He almost had that takedown in overtime, and then he got stuck and got taken down. And that was terrible for me and Coach Scott. We were sitting there together because I was the next match up. I was walking onto the mat in the semis, like crying, because I was genuinely upset that he lost right there. We'd been talking about how he was going to be a state champ. I was going to be a state champ this year, and it just didn't happen.
And has he
Yeah.
talked about how just watching you win it feels like you both won it?
Yeah, he was so happy when I won. I don't know how he got onto the floor, but I know I walked off that mat and he just sprinted towards me and picked me up.
Yeah, it was one of the best moments of the tournament to see a kid that go from the low of losing to the
Mhm.
high of watching his brother win, because that's basically what I'm sure you can consider each other. And again, Scott's son and a good man and a good kid, and
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing where he ends up. That's all I have really, but I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. And I hope to get through this and still see you again in the room with my kid.
Oh, for sure.
How about you, Ricky? I know sometimes you ask some like little questions like, what do you like better?
Yeah, we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna do the 10 questions in 10 seconds. I don't know if I have 10 questions though. All right, so we'll give the one word answer. So singlets or two-piece?
Singlet.
Freestyle or folk style?
Freestyle.
Headgear or no headgear?
No headgear.
Rap or country?
Country.
Yes, my man. Ice cream cake or birthday cake?
Ice cream.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Freshwater or saltwater?
Freshwater.
There you go. All right, man. Thank you.
How can a
Easton.
country guy say saltwater? You know he's going to say fresh.
You gotta ask, man. You gotta ask. You never know.
Awesome. Well, hey, we can do this anytime, man. And
Absolutely.
if you have any surprising information for us, let us know. We can jump back on.
All right. All right. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's
Yes,
a
sir.
pleasure, man. Again, congratulations, state champ. You take care, man.
Thank you. You too.
All right, you got it.